Virginia here with Jennie Lee Gems. Okay, so today I am working on little ginkgo leaf centers. So it's fall and all of my little leaves are falling off. They're beautiful yellow and I want to use them in some type of a basket center. So here's what I came up with. I don't want them to go to waste. Every year I look at them and I'm like, oh, I could use those for something. So this is the year 2024. So here we go. First of all, you want to pick your molds. So this is my favorite mold that I use. This is a favorite size, I guess I would have to say. So I do my beach bottoms in here. This has been used a lot, so there's not much shine in there. So I wouldn't want to use it for one of my lace drop flowers that I put the white lacing in. So I just use it for beach or things of the same nature that you're not going to have to use the back. So this is my favorite size. I know that it measures 3 3/4 inches across. Okay, so I went and found something in my cupboard that I could use to mark around and make the centers. And I've noticed that, see how there's some space on the side? There's about 1/4 inch, and I chose this can just for that reason. I like to leave the 1/4 inch clear around the outside because I've noticed if you're drilling paper through paper, resin through paper, my plan is to resin these, but if you're drilling through paper or thin wood, sometimes it splinters. So these are my favorite size, but I do have bigger. I might do some bigger. I might do some oblong. We shall see how it turns out. So what you are going to do is find your favorite paper that you want to use. I'm using a little bit thicker craft paper. This is Recollections, and it has several different colors in it. So I use these for quite a few things, and I don't need to buy the big packet because I know I'm not using one big piece most times. So I've cut in several colors, and I will show you how I draw them out. So I might do some smaller ones. As I mentioned, I like to save paper, so I know that I can use this for another mold and or for some other project. So I'm positioning it so I know there's enough room for 1/4 inch around. And then I'm going to draw just around. This is what I'm using for my form. And then I went through and cut all of them out. So I'm kind of setting up to do several of them because my tree is getting sour right now. Stuff's falling. They're starting to get a little dirty, but these will still work. And I do like to use the moist ones that I've just picked up or have just fallen and go from there. I tried the dried ones and they didn't work as well. So here's some that I've made with the moist. I've used just white or white and gold mix. I like those colors. I might try silver as well. Here's another little white one. Here's the leaves that I was using. That's pretty in itself. I might try to preserve that. But I did try it with dried leaves last week, and it didn't work as well. You don't get the lines. So stay tuned. I'll show you the next step. So here's my little ginkgo tree. You can see most of the leaves have fallen off. But they're still pretty fresh. They're all along the ground here. And the good ones are in here. So let's see. I'm just going to pick some different sizes. There's a big one. Let's see. See, they're starting to turn. So I really want to get in here and get some interesting ones. That's a nice smaller size. Let's see here. Look at this one. It's kind of turning, but it kind of looks like a heart, or let's see. Excuse the big truck. Where I live, there's a lot of big trucks. That one's kind of turning, but it's beautiful too. There's a lot to choose from. Oh, this one. It's gorgeous. So I've chosen a handful of leaves that I want. I'll just take them inside and wash them off and dry them. Okay, so now we are going to paint the ginkgo leaf. So I use a thin layer. You need to have enough on there so it'll transfer. And then I paint it same way as the lines are going. Just follow the lines. Just gives it a cleaner look. And they all come out a little different. There's going to be open areas. And I'm just painting on top of a half of a paper towel. So I like to go down the stem just a little bit also. Let's get a hint of the stem. I'm just going to keep smoothing them out. Sorry if my arm is going in front. Let's try to move this over here. So see, you could see how the lines go in the ginkgo leaves. So they just kind of fan out. So I'm following those, making sure there's paint on everything. Then I'll just smooth out make sure there's some on the stem, the ends. I'll smooth out the lines. Hopefully that's thick enough. So I'll pick it up and then just lay it. I'm going to try that side that's not embossed. See how that comes out. I can't remember. I don't know. I switch back and forth just to get different looks. So then I've got clean paper towels, half of paper towels. And I fold it over so I can keep using it. And then put down over the top of the ginkgo leaf. Smooth it out. You don't have to press too hard because you don't want... You have to kind of get used to the touch because you don't want to smear it, but you want to make sure to get a good imprint. And like I said, they're all different. You can do an overlay. Wait till it dries if you're going to add another overlay though, because you could smear it. So let's see if that got the whole thing. Oh, that came out nice. I like that one. So my original one came through where you could see the lines, but there's some open spaces between, and I think that looks the best. And what I'm finding out is I like it on the smooth side better. It's a nice little imprint. So you could do another one over the top if you want later, but let it dry. So here, this one came out nice too. It's gold over white, but I did it on that embossed side or the graded side as opposed to, it has a different look. I like it. I like it both. I like them all different. Here's one with this is the first imprint that was just too light, so I did up and over it, and it's a little bit different. And then here is a very light white with just a little gold over teal. So you could see they all look different. So it's just what you're wanting to get. Now I like this total gold, and then I overlaid this little heart one. It looks like a heart. It's too thin. And I really like that one. So I kind of overlaid it, but I'm not sure if I like it or not. We'll let it dry and see. I'll try the heart on its own. So I'll show you some more. I'm going to keep working. And I'm going to try some silver as well. Thanks for watching. Message me with questions. So on this one, we're going to do white and gold. So I did a thin coat of white. Now I'll come back with some gold over the top. For some reason, the gold kind of gets lost in the white, but we'll try to make it show up a little more. Trying to follow the lines of the leaf as much as possible. Okay, now let me put that paintbrush down and let's see how this works. So we're just going to lay it flat. Let me get a clean towel. And then press, press, press. So now this one I'm doing on the smooth side, not the textured side of the paper. They all look a little different, but so I'm just gently trying to smooth it evenly. So we transfer all the paint to the paper. Let's see what happens. Sometimes I put too much paint, it gets blobby. No, I'm on the rough side of the paper. Oh, it's got a nice little dot of gold there. Wow, that kind of looks like wings, like butterfly wings, or that's pretty. Virginia here. So I showed you in the previous video how to stamp these beautiful ginkgo leaves with the leaves from the tree and paint. So here they are all dry. Here's a few of them. I did quite a bit more, but I did mostly gold and white. I didn't care how the silver came out. Here's two together. So these are going to be pine needle basket centers, or some people use them to make wind chimes. But I wanted to show you how I seal them before I resin. So I've made another video on resining, and I'll go ahead and tag that here so that you can see it. Here's another one. Oh, so I started trying to turn these into butterflies, and I'll make another video on that and show you how I did that. I just kind of got the idea that they look like butterfly wings, so I started trying to make little butterflies. This actually is a flower. It could be a butterfly if it's going that way, but it's just kind of an exotic flower. And this one, it's going to be a flower too. It's not really a butterfly, but it looks like butterfly wings. So these I did turn into butterflies. They kind of look like hummingbirds too, but exotic butterfly, ginkgo leaf, whatever. So anyway, so we have to seal them before we put them in resin. And I usually just pour a little, ooh, that's a lot of it. We'll move it over to the other ones. Pour a little bit on and then just smooth it around. So before you do that, make sure you test it on a piece of the same type of paper and on whatever you used. Paint is usually going to be fine, but inks can spread, so you got to be careful with that. So I'm going to move some over there, and I just put a paper towel down, And then just start spreading. So you could put a few coats if you like. You want to make sure you get good coverage. Be careful you don't get any fuzzes in here, or I don't know, I seem to get a lot of black fuzz around the house, floating around from clothes, I guess, or something. So I'm just going to seal it. If you don't seal items before you resin, they could bubble up a lot. So this looks a little cloudy, but it will be fine. It will dry clear. And I tried it on another one I didn't like in case I messed it up. So I just, again, try to get all the lines going the same way. Use a clean paintbrush because you don't want to be spreading stuff in there. So just do a thin layer. If you notice any weird stuff in there, pick it out and then go over it. Just make sure you seal the whole thing. You can let it dry, do a second coat. I will be doing the back as well. So we'll just let that one dry. We'll move over to this one and just spread. I just try to get it covered. And then, see, sometimes you're going to get a glob from the lid. Just get it out of the way. There's another glob. Just get out. You know, it'll dry clear, but you're just going to have a weird blob on there. So use a clean brush. Try to do a thin layer. Cover everything. You can go back and put a second coat if you don't think it covered well enough. But this will keep it, once you let it dry and everything, you can store them pretty easily. And you are not going to get so many bubbles in your resin. I know it looks like the paint is spreading, but it's not. It's the... So that one looks pretty good. So you can already see over here it's drying clear. And it might roll up a little bit once it's dry, though. You could just turn it over and... I'll try to be more careful this time. You can roll it over and put something heavy on it to flatten it out. I try to keep them as flat as possible because in the resin, they can move around. I've got some little tricks to that, though. I usually pour half of the resin that I'm going to use, let it dry until it's really tacky, and then stick, if you have something thinner, just kind of stick it to the back when it's still kind of not cured, like half cured, because then it's real sticky. There's another glob. I'm just trying to go the same way because sometimes you could see a little bit of the lines. But once it dries, it's going to be totally clear and it's protected. After these dry, I'll turn them over and do the other side. Let's do one of these cute little butterfly flower ones, Ginko flowers. I don't know what to call them. Ginko butterflies, Ginko flowers, Ginko leaf flowers. Let's just try this one and make sure the colors don't run. Put that right there. I'm just gonna hold it. Try to get a thin layer all over and then brush it over to make sure everything's covered. Got another, oh no, there's a black hair in our, how'd that get there? Oh no, that's just the brush. It's just a dark hair. So this Modge Podge washes off pretty easily, so I don't use gloves or anything. So see, that's covering really nice. A little bit down here. So I'm touching it, so it's making these little globs, but I'll pull those off. Because as it dries and then you're touching it, you're gonna get some little globs. So that's how it's looking. You can see here, this one's looking nice and clear. You could see, well, it's not quite dry yet, but you can see a little bit of the brush strokes, but not much. But that seals it up really good. So when you're putting it in resin, it's going to look really good. I'll come back and show you how I do these little butterflies.